Welcome to the Millennial Rant, a podcast about whatever's bothering me today. With topics ranging from politics to pop culture, there's a rant to cover everyone. For more Millennial Rant content, you can join me on the web at millennialrant.com. Welcome back to the final Millennial Rant episode. And I realize that this is coming super abruptly, and I originally thought that I would handle it with a bit more ceremony, maybe. I was planning on, at least for the month of December, dropping hints and, leading up to this big release on the 1st of January, which is a Wednesday, being all, hey, thanks for the last 2 years. It's been interesting and good luck with everything that you do moving forward. And it's not shaping up that way. Things have changed in my life and in my job that have made it so that this just isn't really feasible anymore. And I realized that when I missed last Wednesday, I completely spaced that I needed to do a video last week, and I was just so busy with a bajillion other things that I just let it fall by the wayside. And I went back and forth talking and thinking and deciding whether or not I was going to end it, 4 or 5 weeks early. And yeah, I am. Just, signed, sealed, delivered. That's it. But I mean, I don't know as it's a huge tragedy. It's not like, this was a huge big deal thing in the first place, right? It was just me sitting in a chair yelling at my camera, and sometimes people are on the other side. So, it has been interesting, I will say. It started out as basically my mom's whim, her being like, you are always doing these rants, you should just do them on a podcast. And then, got invited to a studio, so we started in a studio, and I got this whole area set up in my office, and so we moved over here, and it was just kind of building and progressing. And I originally thought it was only going to be a year anyway, and I talked to a couple people last year about doing it and how it was going and what they thought, and I ended up tacking on another year. But it's gotten to the point where it's not fun. It's just another thing that I have to do to check off my list, and I don't need that stress, right, of having to make sure that I have my outlines and my ideas and the edits and the cuts and the uploading it to everything. It's just a lot. So I decided to pull the plug this year, and I was going to finish out the year and go out with a bang on the 1st of January, but now it's looking more like a whimper sometime in the middle of December. So, you know what? That's okay. I learned a lot, and I think that for me that was the biggest thing to come out of this, was learning how to build the space, learning how to speak to a camera, how to be more eloquent and loquacious when I had to be, because let's be honest, in real life I stutter and stumble even more than I do when I'm on this podcast. And part of that is because as a child I did have a stutter. I mostly grew out of it by the time I was about 10, and then every now and then when I got flustered or when I was stressed, it would come back. And then COVID happened, and I got sick in 2021 September, and it hit me hard. And I, for about a year and a half, had to work through my stutter again, and it trips me up a lot more than it used to before I had COVID. But you know what? That's okay. And so this, I think, helped with that too. And kind of a roundabout, I have to slow down and think about what I'm saying, the way that my mouth is forming words. So that was helpful and beneficial too, for sure. I don't know as I would have overcome it as easily and as quickly as I did if I wasn't doing this every week. So there's that too. Um, I met some great people who watch my podcast who say that it's really great and it really helped them out. And I think that's fabulous. If I helped even one person, then it was totally worth it. But at the same time, I can't keep moving forward with something that isn't making so much of a difference that it would be missed when it's taking such a toll on me and my life and my time and all that sort of stuff. So I am just shutting it down. So, again, kind of abrupt, kind of out of nowhere if you don't know me, but I think also not wholly unexpected from me. If you know me even a little bit, and if you've, watched all of these videos for 2 years, I think you know me well enough to know that I'm I make decisions on the fly. Not always the best way to go about, building a life, but, works for me most of the time. But it has been fun. It's been interesting. I've learned a lot. I've been able to air a lot of my grievances about what it is to be a millennial living in this crazy world that we currently inhabit. But I am ready to move on to other things, to things that I find more fun and personally fulfilling. So, this is probably not the very last that you will see of me and the Millennial Rant. I still have the occasional rant that I will put out into the ether, but they'll probably be not quite so structured, not quite so deliberate, I guess you could say. More along the lines of something happens in the world and I'm going to comment on it. And that's happened a couple of times on this podcast where something happened and I just couldn't stay silent. So again, with the crazy world that we live in, I'm sure there's something that will bother me enough that I will once again sit in this chair and talk to you about it. But for now, I think I'm good. So thank you all for sticking with me for 2 years. I hope that you had fun. I hope that you learned something. I hope that it was even a modicum of help to you. And that you go out and do something. Think broadly, outside the box, right? Put yourself in a position to be able to see all sides so that when you do make a decision, on whatever it is, whatever opinion you hold, you're able to defend your decision, your values, your ideas, your everything. You can defend it when you need to with confidence, with logic, and with passion. Because that's really, that's how we share our ideas with the world. That's how we get them out there. Is we speak logically, we speak with passion, and we speak with purpose. So thank you for joining me again on this journey. And I know this is kind of all over the place. I didn't really have time to compose my thoughts properly, which isn't, again, unusual. I may pick topics for this, podcast, but it's not like I write scripts. I tried at the beginning to have notes, and that's just not how I roll. So yeah, anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope that you have a fabulous new year, an amazing Christmas, or whatever holiday it is that you celebrate around this time, and that you remember that just because the world is crazy doesn't mean you have to be. So inform yourself, make your decisions, have your opinions, go out and make a difference. And until next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish. For somebody who's never actually read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I sure to make a lot of references about it.